some days are better than others, and some days are much better than a day in the office. Today, we are at the G Experience Center in Graz, home of the G-Class. Out here is where every G-Class is made, and at this Experience Center, we've got everything to experience. We've got the G580 with EQ technology, the electric G, we've got the AMGs, we've got the diesel G, and we've got the regular V8 G. And this is what we'll be doing today. So let me give you a bird's eye view of where we are, the Graz Experience Center. So in the distance, that's the Graz airport. Now behind me, the hangar. Now that's the main experience center. So that's where the catering, the hospitality, the display, all of that is inside that hangar. Now you can see the line of AMGs going out there in the distance. Now they are going to the AMG track where we'll be doing acceleration, braking, a lane change maneuver to discover the performance of the AMG engine as well as the semi-active suspension, what it does in terms of dynamics. Now to my left, the forest that you see, over there is actually the forest tracks where we'll be testing the articulation, testing the axle breaker, that track. We also have a water wading where we'll give the G a nice bath. And at the end of it all, we're going to be coming back up here. In fact, this is where we're going to be starting, where we will be driving the G580 with EQ technology, the electric G, up all these gradients. Now, this one is an 80% gradient, which is around 35-38 degrees. We'll not only be coming up this, we'll also be going down this and discovering all the torque that electric G develops, as well as the ease with which it does all these tracks. Honestly, even a monkey could do this because the car, you only have to steer it. It does everything else for you. But this is the Graz Experience Center, the G Experience Center at Graz. And oh boy, this is going to be an epic day. We start with the G580 with EQ technology and harness all that electric torque to ascend up the hills located on site. Next, we jump into the combustion engine Gs as we hit the forest trails, hit the articulation tests, and also go for a swim. And finally, we close out the day with the G63 AMG going full send down the runway. Okay, now we're going up an 80-degree slope, and I haven't positioned myself properly. So we use the G-turn, turn the steering wheel. It makes like a 90-degree turn. Yeah. Switch off G steering.
You can try to climb up.
And now this is an 80% slope.
And just try to go a little bit more to the right, to the left. So.
And we are no gas. Yeah. Just pulling ourselves up.
So you can see half tires. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Now the tires are clean. I think you got it.
Yeah. So basically when you're coming up, you're only seeing sky. And what initially happened was because we went through the mud, so there was mud on the tires, so there was initial wheel spin and the tires were spinning. And then after that, once the mud was off the tires, we had enough traction and we just pulled right up. Actually, this makes it very easy. But this is nothing for the G. After dealing with the slopes, we are then taken to the Iron Schockel, Iron Mountain. These are slopes, articulation tests, serious articulation tests that are fabricated in the G Experience Center where the ultimate off-road ability, gradability and unstoppability of the G can be put to the test. We start with the 100% slope. Yup, you heard that right, 100%. That translates to a 45 degrees gradient. Here, we lock all three diffs to make sure we have maximum traction to climb the G 100% does, with the in-dash display showing that crazy 100% slope. And what goes up has to come down. So we descend on the other side with an 80% downslope. That is a 35 degree gradient. Here the lock diffs and the low range make sure we are at absolute crawling pace to inch down the Iron Schockel and descend safely. And how's this for a party trick? The G can reverse up an 80% slope. So we finished with the tracks with the electric G. Now let me just take you into the hangar and show you what's there. So this right here, that's the very first G which actually launched the entire G-Class line. And now it is in this mold of resin or acrylic or whatever this is. I believe this is some 44 tons. And funny story, on my birthday, my wife used all my dinky cars and put it in this acrylic resin, and I screamed at her saying, "What did you do to my cars?" Mercedes has done this with their G, so now I think I'll appreciate what she did for me on my birthday. Behind me, that's the electric G. Then out there, that's the 500th G. So a pretty significant G. Now you got some awards. That's the welcome desk. And this actually is pretty cool. You have a few of the colors that you can get the G with. Hey, hang on, this is probably a suitcase. Yeah, it's a suitcase. There's a merchandise store out there, but just check this out. So it's got all these, the spare wheel covers in different colors, and it makes for such a cool display. You also have your different seats with the different leathers that you can option with the steering wheels, all this leather finish. This over here, this is the main briefing area. Right under the gaze of that very first G that is cast in acrylic, and out there in the distance, that's the catering area. So this is the main hangar. We'll finish with our lunch and then we'll head back onto track. And I think after this, we are going to go into the jungle and we'll be doing water wading. We'll be going through those axle articulation tests. We'll be going through side slopes. I believe 35 degrees side slope. That's what we're going to be doing. This is going to be, well, the day just keeps getting better. So now we're doing G things in the G450D. This is an axle twister. We got the center diff, and quite intense these axle twisters are. Now we got the rear diff lock done. They got a mirror over there for us. Basically, when you're going off-road, you go off-road nice and easy. This is a proper axle twister. Ladder frame chassis. Now that was the axle twister. Now we know the G has legendary off-road capabilities. Ladder frame chassis, border and frame that construction. Also 3 locking differentials. We're doing that with the center and the rear diff engaged. Now we started this with the center diff engaged, and after the second axle twister, we couldn't move ahead because there was one wheel that was spinning, the other one was not getting any torque going through it. So then we locked the rear diff, and that means that both the rear tires rotate at the same speed. So even if one is in the air, that won't lose or at least waste away the torque. The torque goes to the tire that has got the traction. So both wheels are spinning at the same speed, same rotation speed, and that means that you can pull through that axle twister. So the diff locks aren't just used for the axle twisters, but also for the side inclination. And that's what we're trying out over here. We are in low range. We got the center and the rear diffs locked. And yeah, you would think that the G is a top heavy beast, but 30 degrees almost over there on that side inclination. And of course you have all these off-road meters that show you your angles, what's going on. So that was just the warm-up. This here is a 35-degree side inclination. So we need to do it really slowly.
The limit is 35 degrees.
Okay, so let's see where we are. 25%, 26%, 28%. He wants me to go 29%. Oh fuck, 31%. 32, 33%, 34%, 35%,
What do we have here?
35%.
How does it feel? But you see, it's still okay. So
Yeah, 35 degrees.
now you go down and move up on the left. And
Okay.
then you see Patrick again.
All right. 35 degrees. Okay, now another side inclination. Now we are at 19 degrees, 21, 22,
Stabilize your car.
27,
20.
28, 29, 30. Oh God. I must also point out the quality of instructors over here is phenomenal. All right, let's
Beautiful.
from one side slope to the other. Okay, straight. Now this 30 degrees feels like it's no problem. Okay, and now we take the G for a swim, or if you've gone through some gnarly off-roading, take it for a bath and clean it up. So I'm not sure what the water wading depth is, whether it is 800 or 850 mm, but this looks pretty serious. So the G in front, the entire bumper is underwater, which actually means the exhaust is also underwater. It says max speed 10 kmph, and now we are gurgling through water. You can hear that there is a constant throttle being applied, because you can hear the exhaust going underwater. So that means that it won't take in or suck in the water, and we are going in for a lovely swim. Easy does it. And actually, when it's getting out of this water bath, the entire thing is underwater, the entire rear end. So we finished with our forest trails. We got a quick coffee break, and I'll just show you some of the display cars over here. So this is the G63 Landaulet, the Maybach edition. It's got these enormous wheels. What size wheels are these? Probably some 22-inch wheels. And the Landaulet, so it's got the convertible, the open top. It's got these reclining seats. You must have seen these from the DJ Khalid videos. It's got the V12 bi-turbo engine. Obviously, it's got this enormous ride height, and you got a retractable step. Out here, you have the 4x4 squared, the lifted G63, and this is the 6x6. You can see the twin axles at the rear, the Sand Raider as they call it. So some pretty wild stuff. We're not going to be driving these, but we'll now have a quick coffee break, and then we go out in the AMGs. So now we save the best for last. This is our third rotation, and now it's with the AMGs, and we start off with a slalom. So now this is the G63 with the semi-active suspension, the kinetic suspension. What happens is that the dampers are hydraulically interlinked, and that reduces pitch, dive, squat, and of course body roll. Gives it far better agility for something that's shaped and weighs like a stone brick around the slalom. It's impressive for the size, the weight, and also the construction of the vehicle. So you keep it in that reference of mind, and then you realize that this G63 is pretty damn impressive with the semi-active suspension, the working of the damper. When suppose you're taking like a left-hand corner, the damper on the outside, the right side, that supports and sends more fluid to the left side to support the damper and give it better damping, and obviously that reduces the body roll. So now we got it in sport mode, which obviously gives it more stiffness, firmer damping. In a slalom, you obviously look further ahead, and you can feel that this is so much better in terms of body control. The body roll is reduced like significantly. Normally between sport and comfort, there's a little bit of difference, but here between comfort and sport, there is a fairly noticeable difference, and we still have Sport Plus to go through. And now we are in Sport Plus. Okay, again, faster through these corners. Now there's so much of G-force going around in the car that our bags that were strapped in the back, that's also flung out of the straps. And that's the whole joy of the G, that pop and crackle, the exhaust. The electric G, it's great off-road, really, the stuff that it does and the control with all the torque. But a G with this AMG engine and that emotion. Okay, now 605 horsepower, the AMG engine. Okay, launch control run.
Kick down and off the brake.
The G63 literally does a wheelie. Now this has that semi-active suspension. It's supposed to reduce the pitch, the dive, the squat. So when you gas it, it's supposed to reduce a squat at the rear. But inside the car, you can feel it almost doing a wheelie, and outside it looks super dramatic. But you still get some phenomenal acceleration in something that's almost as big as an aircraft hangar. The way this flies down a runway is mega. It goes fast in a straight line. It also has to come to a stop very fast. 2.5 ton machine, 0 to 100, okay, whatever, 100 to 0 in less than 40 meters. So the G63 does a wheelie when it takes off, and it does nearly a stoppie when it brakes. Super dramatic on the outside. But remember, this construction, ladder frame chassis, all of that, it can stop, it can go in a way that kind of defies physics. And that's how the day ends at the G Experience at Graz. Nice food, something to drink, need some liquid refreshment, and what a day it has been.